I'm Derek Joyce and I'm here with Paul O'Murda, and this is I'm Not the Expert, but this is a podcast where we discuss everything from the most complicated things that we know nothing about to the simplest things that we also know nothing about. So sit back, grab a cup of tea and join us. I don't know where to start with this as well.
Eggs.
It's been ages.
We're not the experts.
That's the worst joke ever.
That's not our title,
joke. No, terrible joke. That's not even a dad joke level of terrible.
No, that's kind of grandpa humour, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Granddad humour.
Yeah. Okay. Haven't done this in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
The origins of Easter. We seem to... I like the idea
I've heard bits on this now, and I've read bits on this, and I've heard bits on this. I'm looking forward to this one, though. You know?
I'm not promising anything.
Yeah, no. It's very eye-opening when when you start to understand that, it predates the Bible in many, many ways.
Well, we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
And in the interest of fairness, when I was looking into this, I looked at Celtic stuff and I was looking at Mesopotamian stuff.
Yeah.
And I've looked at Christian stuff.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every civilization has a resurrection myth, a death and rebirth myth.
Yeah. You know it all, and I don't know where it comes from originally.
I'd imagine it's the natural cycle. It's the end of winter. Trees, plants, everything dies off in winter. Then you come around to this time of the year and things start to grow again. Which
we'll get to later on, because our Greek god friends are going to make an appearance in
of
this
course.
as well.
Wouldn't be this podcast if we didn't.
It wouldn't be planet Earth and its history.
I know, yeah.
If the Greeks
I never realised just how prevalent the classics are until we start doing this podcast and me and Umfla start doing classics in school.
Yeah.
It's all pervasive.
It's mad.
I mean, even Oppenheimer, they call him the American Prometheus.
There you go. Still far from the gods. Yeah. So, they didn't lick it off a rock and make it up themselves.
No.
It comes from somewhere. Yeah. Okay. So, just what we all know about Easter to start off with. Okay?
Chocolate.
So, Easter commemorates the death and resurrection of Christ in Jerusalem 2,000 or so years ago.
If you believe that stuff.
He was a real guy. It was 2,000 years ago. He got crucified. That's what happened.
No evidence of that at all, though. There's no evidence at all that Jesus, outside of the Bible, there's no historical record of Jesus living or being crucified.
There's historical record of lots of, inverted commas, messiahs that stood on mounds and preached goodwill and living a decent life.
There's an amalgamation. Yeah, that there's no historical record of Jesus of Nazareth as fucking described in the Bible. There's not one shred of evidence.
Possibly it's an amalgamation of lots of other stories.
Mentally ill people who thought they were the Son of God.
But there is an origin to the story, and it's 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Jesus of Nazareth, and we're going to talk about him as a guy, because if we keep parsing words, it's fucking ridiculous.
Okay.
Jesus, 2,000 years ago, Jerusalem. That's what Easter is the celebration of. But Easter isn't a Christian holiday. Jesus, according to the story, died on a Friday and rose on a Sunday. And I've been so drunk that I felt like I died and not risen till a Sunday in my years growing up.
Yeah, he was on a bender with his 12 mates after the Last Supper,
yeah. I was going to save this to the end, but have you ever heard of Maundy Thursday?
Yes.
Maundy.
Yes.
Maundy Thursday is the celebration of...
Weird.
Maundy Thursday is the celebration of the Last Supper.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's so weird that you mentioned that. 'Cause I'm currently listening to the girl who played with fire, which is the follow-up to the girl with the dragon tattoo. And they keep going... It's all set over Easter weekend.
Yeah.
And they keep going on about Monday, Thursday. I was like, what the fuck is Monday, Thursday? So
and
yes, I have heard of it this week.
I
literally.
remember growing up and hearing of Monday, Thursday and going, what the fuck is that?
I thought it was a Swedish thing.
Maundy, and it's Maundy, and it's not a really ecclesiastical word. You know what I mean? It's just such a strange word.
So it's the Last Supper, that's what it is.
But it's a celebration of the Last Supper, which is the day before Jesus Christ was crucified.
Yeah, no, in the book, it just keeps coming up in chapter headings. They do like, Monday, Thursday, fucking whatever of April, blah, blah. Yeah. And then it's,
There you go. Yeah.
So it keeps coming up,
You learned.
Yeah. Okay. Because when I first heard it in the book, I thought he was saying Monday, Thursday. I was like, what? And then I kind of copped, now it's Monday.
That's what I thought it was originally.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah.
So yes, I have heard of it like literally this week. Yeah. But before that, no.
So Jesus' birthday is celebrated on the 25th of December, although his birth was never actually recorded. No. And that might go some way towards the fact that you were saying just moments ago that he wasn't a real guy, and it's actually just an amalgamation of a lot of stories.
And you know why his birth is celebrated, in that particular month, in that particular season, that particular time?
Go on.
Because it's the winter solstice.
Yeah.
It's the rebirth of the sun.
It's after the solstice and when it starts to cycle back around. Yeah.
I mean, it's the whole Christian myth is based on sun worship. They just took
everything is based on sun worship.
Yeah. It's pretty much all religions. Yeah. They just took
I'm not talking about religions.
The old pagan sun worship
cultures are based on sun worship.
Yeah, they all just took the kind of the basic sun worship holidays, beliefs, and they superimposed. They took out the sun, replaced it with a deity essentially, and then created a myth around him that he lived for 33 years. No fucking evidence for it.
It's celebrated on the 25th of December. Orthodox Christians don't celebrate Jesus' birthday on the 25th of December. They celebrate it on the 7th of January. And that's down to the two different calendars.
Yeah, the Gregorian and the what was it? Of the fucking Caesarian, Julian. The Julian calendar. Yes, that's right. We covered that. Yeah, previously.
We covered it in the April Fool's podcast.
April Fool's it was, yes. That's right.
So it's Julian is the east and Gregorian is the west.
Is in the west, yeah.
So that's why they do it. And it all ties in to why Easter is so fluid.
Yeah.
And
well, doesn't it fall like the 7th Sunday after Pentecost or something arbitrary?
It's not that it's arbitrary. It seemed arbitrary to me, and then it kind of started to make sense. But it is complicated and convoluted. So just give me a second.
Yeah.
Orthodox Christians celebrate it on the 7th of January, and they have a different calendar, Julian, Gregorian. Nor was the date of his death and resurrection recorded. As a result, this is why Easter is floaty. It's all floaty like.
I'm not sure that's accurate. I thought it was more to do with like they have various religious holidays. Now, I don't know the first thing about them, but Pentecost, whatever Pentecost is, and then Easter falls on the 7th Sunday after Pentecost.
I don't know if it's about Pentecost, but give me a moment. Easter can fall anywhere between the 22nd of March and the 25th of April.
Yeah.
This floaty-like state is because Easter is linked to the Jewish festival of Passover.
Right.
Passover depends on the cycles of the moon. In the 4th century, church leaders, which was the Council of Nicaea, agreed that Easter would be on the first Sunday following the first full moon after the spring equinox.
Okay, that stands to reason there was a full moon last night.
Yeah, there you go. Now, to complicate shit, as if it didn't need complicating in the first place, the Paschal full moon is an ecclesiastical full moon that occurs after the vernal equinox, and that's in quotations. The whole thing was in quotations. Right?
Explain.
So I'm going to say it again.
Right.
The Paschal full moon, that's Paschal, the Paschal full moon is an ecclesiastical full moon that occurs after the vernal equinox.
Okay, why is it ecclesiastical, for starters? Isn't that
I don't know.
That's an ecclesiastical full moon.
It's because it appears in their calendar.
Okay, right.
So maybe that's it. But let me kind of just
that will be an ecumenical matter
a little bit.
Yes, please do. Because I don't fucking clue what you're talking about.
The vernal equinox,
right? Yeah,
is the spring equinox.
Yes.
The ecclesiastical Paschal full moon is the first full moon after the Passover.
Yeah, right.
It's the same fucking thing.
Yeah. Passover and the equinox, yeah.
Just to complicate shit, and they all get together in this Council of Nicaea, and they say, okay, it's going to be the first Sunday after the first full moon of Passover. And they said, yeah, okay, but we can probably word this a little better.
Yeah, so that we're not giving the Jews any credit. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that, but which is why they just wrote it like they did. It made fucking sense, and it just meant...
Isn't it ironic, though, that... what's a monotheistic religion, and they're going by the phases of the moon and the fucking seasons of the year, like, you know. And I know we're going to get into that later. Yeah. That is the first red flag, I think, that should be raised, and we'll get onto it later on. But yeah,
I think lots of religions and belief systems kind of have their foundations, which would make a lot of sense, in the cycles of the sun and the moon.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if you go back to the Egyptians. Yeah. And all that kind of crack. And everything from then and before down through history, they all fucking do.
They've all just borrowed from each other.
But the reason that, in a very convoluted way, they picked the first Sunday after the first full moon after Passover was to give pilgrims that were making the pilgrimage to Jerusalem to celebrate Easter a full moon's light to walk by. Okay. Because they didn't have street lights and shit.
Okay.
You know? So it does kind of make sense.
It does from a practical and logistical
That's what I mean.
point of view. Yeah, but I don't think that was their primary reasons for it. Like, you've got to look at the seasons and what's going on.
I read an article on a Christian website about the Council of Nicaea, and that was one of the things that was written
on a Christian website.
Yeah. I'm a man of the people. Have to go and look at these.
Yeah, but do you believe it, Del?
It's not that.
Do you take it at face value? No, honestly, do you take it at face value?
I don't take anything. I don't take anything at face value.
Considering what we're going to get into and what we know, which is there, like, you know, well documented proof that it's got all to do with the seasons and rebirth and death and regrowth. Do you really think they picked that because of the full moon giving people light to walk by? Sounds very tenuous. Very tenuous.
Why does it sound tenuous?
Because it's more to do with the seasonal change, the death and the rebirth. And that was the old pagan holiday of Easter.
No, I'm not saying it wasn't. As much as I look up information on pagan websites and I'll go, yeah, okay, and I'll verify that somewhere else. Yeah. If I see it on a Christian website, which I did, and I'll go and verify that somewhere else.
I'm not saying you're being tenuous. What was on that website, and it's probably repeated by Christians all over the place. But it just given what we're going to get into, and given what we know about the history of the fucking death and resurrection myth throughout history, you know, going back to prehistory, and it all being based around spring equinox. All of that, I don't think the full moon giving light to martyrs in fucking Jerusalem fucking holds up to any kind of scrutiny at all. Like, all of those festivals from ancient Egypt, from the Greeks you're going to talk about later, the ancient Celts and the pagans, all had their death and resurrection myth around this time of year, at this specific time of year, because it's the end of winter, it's the start of spring, you know, fucking in winter things die, in spring they're reborn, and that's where it comes from.
Yeah, no, I get all that.
That's exactly why it's at this time of year. So I'm not buying that they have it at this time of year so that people can see why a full moon when they're March. Doesn't make sense to me that would have any truth in it. You know? And as you said, it's a Christian website. They're going to put their...
As the pagans are going to put the spirituality stuff that they did that they read on their website. So hang on a second.
I agree.
So I'm not being pro-church or Christian
and I'm not
here.
being anti. You know, what I'm saying to you is those festivals, whether it be ancient Egypt, pagans, Greeks, whatever, all predate Christianity. And they all had their festival at this time of year. And then the Christians also have their festival at this time of year, because that's where it always was done. So when one thing morphed into another belief, all of those festivals stayed roughly at the same time as their pagan predecessors or their ancient Egyptian predecessors. So for them to try and say that they arbitrarily picked
they didn't say we arbitrarily picked it.
No, but I'm saying they picked it specifically because the full moon will give them
they didn't.
Light. Well, that's what you said, wasn't it?
No, they picked it as the first Sunday after Passover. Yeah. So whatever came after Passover, if it hadn't been a full moon, they would have given pilgrims the best conditions to walk in.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I took it that you were saying that was one of the factors they used in choosing this time of year for Easter. So that's okay. Well, then I was wrong.
Can we not argue about what we both agree on?
Listen, we're not arguing. This is discussion. Isn't this what we're supposed to be doing? We're having a discussion. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I get what you're saying now. It was a happy coincidence that the full moon made it nice for walkers in Jerusalem, whatever. It wasn't a kind of deciding factor in when they picked it. Is that what we're saying?
Passover was probably the factor that they
picked. But doesn't Passover float too? Don't think Passover is a fixed date, is it?
So after some frantic Googling, because this is all so fucking complicated and ridiculous.
Yeah.
What have you found?
Okay, so basically, Easter ordinarily falls on the Sunday following the first full moon after equinox. And the Jewish festival of Passover usually falls beginning on the first night of the full moon, of the first full moon after equinox. For some reason, and we can't find exactly why at the moment, so maybe someone might come on Facebook and tell us exactly why. Passover's not till April this year, and Easter's on fucking March 31st, and we have no idea why.
Jesus.
So I don't know what's going on there.
My fucking head hurts.
So I'm pretty sure we're a full moon earlier than we've got Easter on the first Sunday after the current full moon, which was last night.
Yeah.
And Passover is the next one.
Last night being Wednesday.
Yes.
Last night being Tuesday. Sorry, we're recording this on Wednesday,
Wednesday,
17th of March.
Which means it's Monday, Thursday, tomorrow. There's probably a day on today. This whole week has names, doesn't it?
It's a Holy Week.
Yeah, is it that? No, Ash Wednesday is the start, isn't it?
Blue Monday. New Order did a song about that in the 90s.
I didn't know that was... Are you taking the piss or is it actually called Blue Monday?
I don't know. New Order did a fucking song.
Yeah. And I know...
I call it Blue Monday.
I know in Ireland we call...
Rolling Stones did Ruby Tuesday, so maybe that's that.
Could be. Yeah. Now I know in Ireland we call a Holy Thursday as tomorrow. We were saying Monday, Tuesday or Monday.
Thursday. But that's been said to me.
I'm going to use that from now on.
That's been said to me and when I was growing up, and I was like, what the fuck is Monday? And people were going, it's the Thursday before Good Friday. But no one told me why it was called Monday. Yeah. They just told me it's a Thursday before Good. What? And my questions of but why? Yeah, but why? Yeah, but why were eventually answered with because. And then that's that.
And now that the
conversation over,
the pubs are allowed to open on Good Friday now.
Are you going to have steak on Good Friday?
I'm going to have a fry. It's a Good Fry day.
No, I don't do fries anymore.
I love a fry.
I might have a burger or a steak.
Yeah, definitely. And then I'm going to sit down and going to watch Bows against Rovers and have a few cans. Happy days.
I'm probably going to animate my cap off.
So you can stick your stick your no meat Good Friday.
So
anyway.
So what we've worked out is Easter happens after Passover, but isn't, and we're none the wiser to anything.
Yeah. Right. So ordinarily it's Passover starts on the full moon. Easter is the Sunday following the full moon. But this year, for some reason, it's not. So if anyone out there of the Jewish faith is listening in, or anyone who just knows this year, please let us know.
Or whatever.
Please let us know what is the crack this year.
Just tell us. Yeah.
Why is Easter so early this year?
It's fucking head-wrecking.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah.
Not that, listen, I mean, the amount of bank holidays for starters.
Thankfully, I'm leaving the whole Christian myth behind because it's just too fucking confusing. It's fucking weird.
Too fucking triggering for me now.
Yeah, you're like a fucking...
I'm not an atheist. I'm an anti-theist. I'm an anti-theist.
Anyway, I had a look at the Christian websites, as I said, and I had a look at pagan websites, and I had a look at historical websites and all that kind of thing. Yeah. Just
to try and get as many different perspectives.
Just, looking into different things and different beliefs and see how they all tie in and all that kind of thing. And I came across one Mesopotamian legend.
Okay.
And it's a legend of Inanna. And it's 2100 BC. So what are we, fucking about 4,000 years ago?
Sorry, every time I hear Mesopotamia, I just think Ghostbusters.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The Mesopotamian god Gozer, wasn't it? I just went to see the new one recently down. It's fucking brilliant. You have to go and see it. Anyway, sorry. Dragging you off topic. We'll talk Ghostbusters later.
The descent of Inanna which was 2100 BC, concerned these two gods, let's call them, Tammuz, Tammuz, and Ishtar, Ishtar.
I've heard of Ishtar.
Yeah, I kind of figured you'd say that.
Is that I'm probably thinking of the fucking Dustin Hoffman movie that was an absolute fucking... I don't even have a word for how bad it was. It's considered to be one of the worst movies ever made.
I don't have a clue what you're talking about.
Have you not?
No.
I always remember it. I don't think I've seen it, but I always remember it in Extravision. The cover is Dustin Hoffman with a camel. Like a cartoon camel on the front cover, and it's Ishtar.
No, I don't remember.
Well, you have to Google it and look it up. But it's supposed to be one of the worst movies ever made anyway.
Anywho.
Yeah, so redeem Ishtar for me now then.
Ishtar, who was the Assyrian and Babylonian goddess of fertility and sex.
Okay, maybe I do want to see that movie.
Has been associated with Easter in social media posts for a decade or so, apparently.
Social media posts?
Yes.
Okay, explain.
Okay. This association is false, and the pronunciation of Ishtar...
Oh, Ishtar's in Easter.
...is Easter.
Ah, okay.
But the pronunciation of Ishtar as Easter is purely speculative.
Right,
people are just...
Yeah. So it's atheist on Facebook
2 and 2
to,
equals 5.
Or even, probably a little bit more.
Or 2 and 2 equals 4. What's your proof? I don't need any.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing?
Yeah. It's knowing 2 and 2 equals 4, but insisting that it's 5 more so.
So, looking up this legend of Tammuz and Ishtar, and the fact that Ishtar has been twisted into, the pronunciation of Ishtar has been twisted into Easter, I found this legend, this Mesopotamian legend, right? And this rings true, and I'll circle back to it at the end, but you'll recognize it, is all I'll say. Mm-hmm. Tammuz dies. For whatever reason, he dies. And as he's dead, he goes to the underworld, the way everybody does.
Right.
Ishtar is so grief-stricken, she follows him to the underworld.
Okay.
She passes through 7 gates where she's judged, killed, and hung on display. I presume through each of the 7 gates. But that's a testament to her love for him that she just kept going.
Like the 7 circles of hell kind of thing.
7
Dante.
Gates of hell, 7 circles of hell, the fucking 7 hills of Rome. Or was it 9 circles?
Yes.
It's 7. Yeah. And we actually did a podcast about
why 7 is considered
7 was so significant in different societies.
And
it could be a whole astrological thing. And it is one of the superstitious ones, but I can't remember which. But it was really fucking interesting.
Yeah. The 7 horns on the beast of Babylon.
7-headed Hydra, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 7 horns, that was interesting. Not to quote the fucking Bible or whatever, right? But it's the end, the fucking Book of Revelation. Revelation. The Book of Revelation. It's supposed to be like the end of the day is the end of the world thing, right? But it does say that I don't know if it's the beast or the whore of Babylon, right? Is a woman with 7 horns on her head. And she'll come from the city that she stands above is where the Armageddon will essentially come from.
Right.
You think about it, right? Can you think of a woman with 7 horns on her head?
No,
very
thankfully.
Famous, that stands above a city.
No.
Can you think?
No.
The Statue of Liberty.
All right. Okay.
Has 7 spikes on her crown.
Okay.
She stands above New York where the United Nations is.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that I believe in the end of the day is myth or anything, but just, it's an interesting one that I read recently.
Following Tammuz, who's died and gone to the underworld, Ishtar passes through 7 gates, as we just said. In her absence, nothing on earth grows. Everything dies.
So it's winter.
And famine is taken hold. The humans on earth go to the gods and petition them to bring her back.
Springtime.
The other gods resurrect her and then allow them to return as the light of the sun. This is the cycle of the seasons.
Yeah.
Winter is death and spring is life. So that's where that comes from.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I mean, we covered it wasn't in our Celtic podcast. Which one was it where we talked about? Oh, in our Sound podcast, where we talked about the death of Lugh.
Yeah.
Who was the god of
origins
light,
of sound.
In Celtic myth. And then he dies at equinox or at solstice. He dies at winter solstice. And his son, who was also considered to be his reincarnation, Cuchulainn, is born at the equinox.
Yeah. So it is. It's
again, it's
death
the death
and
and resurrection. Yeah. And it's all true. It predates Christianity by thousands of years.
Yes, it does. It predates fucking everything. Yeah. It's probably from the
well, you only have to look around
society.
and see why. Yeah. I mean...
Well, the whole thing was not having the knowledge to be able to explain things.
Yeah.
Which is also something that we touched on in the earthquakes episode.
Yeah.
The Minotaur.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
Can't explain why the ground shakes, attribute it to a monster.
Exactly, and I mean, bearing in mind that, like we're talking, back in the day when people thought the earth was flat, they didn't understand the fucking cycles of the moon and the sun and winter, and they fucking tilted the axis of the earth away from the sun, causing the seasons and stuff. They didn't understand that, so it was all kind of attributed to the gods.
Yeah.
Or whatever, you know, so we had...
anything... that's inexplicable, just attribute it to a deity. And that's not me taking a shot at any religion.
Absolutely.
That's everything.
Yeah, no, what was it? Arthur C. Clarke says, Del, famously, any sufficiently advanced technology will be indistinguishable from magic. If you apply that to the past as opposed to the future.
Yeah. If you apply
before
to
things
everything,
were scientifically explained, they appear to be magical.
That's it.
Absolutely.
That's it, exactly. So, getting back to Easter, and the fact that Ishtar is very tenuously pronounced as Easter. And
there is another...
There is, and we'll get there.
That's what I was just going to ask. Have you got
we'll
that
get
covered?
there.
Okay, cool.
But we've explained the whole myth of Hor and Tammuz in the underworld and how that relate to the cycle of life and death.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. It's the circle of life, the cycle of life, of life, of the natural world as opposed to, kind of humans or animals. It's the fucking plants and shit die during winter and they grow back in the spring.
Yeah, without running the risk of sounding like the Lion King, it's the circle of life. Yeah. Okay.
It's the Wheel of Fortune.
Start singing that fucking
the twist
song.
of fate.
So there's the consensus that Easter is derived from a German word for east.
Yes.
Osten.
Ost, yeah.
Osten.
Ostdeutschland. Yeah. Yes.
The direction of dawn, which is rebirth.
Okay. And again,
Yeah. There's the whole rabbits and eggs thing at Easter that I will
I'm
get
interested
into
in that side
in a
of it. Yeah, because we were told something in school about the egg that turned out to be complete bullshit as well. So we'll get to that.
That's one of the joys of learning shit, isn't it?
That's one of the joys of
parse out
going
what
to
the bullshit is.
School, yeah.
Easter, Eostre.
Yeah, this is Oastre, isn't it?
Nope, Eostre.
My apologies. Yes.
Easter, Ostara is what you're thinking of.
Oestre,
Easter.
Easter.
Yeah. Was the goddess of spring.
Yeah.
Originally celebrated at the spring equinox for reasons that are quite fucking obvious after all our fucking arguments.
Yeah. So sorry, she was whose god?
She's the pagan god, goddess of spring.
Pagan.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
No, sorry, just because we're dealing with lots of different cultures here. So
because they all fucking say the same thing.
Yeah.
In different ways, but they're all the same thing.
Yeah, and they're all around this time of year. Just,
yeah.
That was the bit I was getting into earlier.
She was often depicted with the hare, Hare.
Yeah.
So not the rabbit.
Okay, so that's where the rabbit comes from.
Yeah, which represents the arrival of spring as well as fertility. Yeah. It's like 2 in 1. Yeah. They come back out after a long cold winter and they're breeding like rabbits.
Even though they're
hares. But here's the thing.
Here's one for you. Bugs Bunny, rabbit or hare?
Definitely a rabbit.
He's a hare.
He's not.
He's a hare. He has a short tail. He's a hare.
It's easier
Bugs
to draw
Bunny's
a short
a fucking
tail.
hare.
Anyway, but the thing about the hare being the representation of fertility.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Right.
Hares can get pregnant with a second brood while still pregnant with
on the first one. Yeah, that's fucking insane.
Nuts.
Yeah.
That's like
that's why they say breeding like fucking rabbits.
Yeah. Except they're hares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come here, listen, we're not going to split hairs. Sorry.
Yeah, that's you're 0 for 2 on your fucking dad jokes. In Germanic pagan myth. Oh, wait, you fucking hear this.
Okay,
this
let's go.
Nuts. This explains your
fucking love the Germans.
This explains your fucking rabbits and your Easter eggs.
Okay, go on.
Explains it.
And then I'll tell you what I was brainwashed into believing.
Perfectly.
Go on, go.
You fucking hear this. And I wish they'd fucking told me this.
Right, go.
In Germanic pagan myth, there's a legend that, I'm going to call it Easter, Eostre, healed a wounded bird by transforming it into a rabbit. Maybe it had a broken wing and it was not fucking good anymore. But she transformed it into a rabbit.
I'm just going to go back to that Arthur C. Clarke fucking quote.
Still a bird by nature, the rabbit showed its undying gratitude to Easter
by laying a fucking
eggs all over the camp.
Class.
Ergo, you've got your Easter bunny.
And that's why the Easter bunny lays eggs.
Yep.
Love it. Sorry, Dale, just to, for a bit of clarity and a bit of context, this myth seriously predates fucking Christianity. Am I right in saying that?
Oh, yeah.
By thousands of years.
Thousands of years, yeah.
Cheers, thanks. What we were told in school was the Easter egg represented the stone that was placed in front of Jesus' tomb.
Okay.
And which was removed on Easter Sunday.
Why was it
egg-shaped?
Because it is. That's...
Because Cadbury's have a really good marketing thing.
That's the fucking... Why is it called Monday, Thursday question again?
No, see, and it's also that full moon.
You ask it enough and enough times. Eventually, the answer becomes because it is.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, what I'm saying is there's another fucking, bastardized version of something that had nothing to do with fucking anything, right?
But required an explanation.
But it was literally taught to us in school that was why we had Easter eggs.
Because it required an explanation.
Right, and exactly that. And that's where I was very skeptical of the full moon thing and the martyrs in Jerusalem earlier. That's what I'm saying to you.
That's why he had his back up. It
sounds like a bullshit explanation for something that has got nothing to fucking do with the actual origins of it.
Okay, ease up there, buddy.
Yeah, so that's, yeah.
In Christian art depictions, white rabbits are used to show virginity and innocence.
Hey, I wouldn't. Of all the fucking animals
you want to fucking hilarious.
Of all the animals you want to fucking depict virginity, a fucking rabbit.
Yeah, isn't that fucking nuts? Okay. Isn't that gas?
No, it's just stupid.
That's fucking hilarious. Sorry, that's hilarious.
It's nuts. Okay.
In Christian and pagan traditions, the egg was a symbol of life and new beginnings. Yeah. Makes perfect sense.
Hatching and yeah, absolutely.
It's thought that chocolate eggs first appeared in Europe in the 1880s.
Okay. So not that long ago.
No, sorry, the 1800s. But that ties in with our whole, in the 15th century, chocolate came across from the South Americans.
Yeah, but it took them 300 years to make eggs out of them.
But it was an exclusive nobility.
Oh, yeah.
Recreational.
It wasn't available to the fucking
food type of. It wasn't
available to
the masses. And I mean, for so long, when I was a kid, I was shocked when my dad used to tell me that they painted hens' eggs, chicken eggs.
Yeah. I still do that.
And they hid them.
Do that with the kids.
But they hid them. And it was like, but what about your chocolate? Oh, we didn't have chocolate eggs.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And this wasn't in the 1800s.
No. I'd imagine fucking chocolate eggs as we know them now, Del. Easter eggs, that's probably fucking, from the 60s on, probably. Is it 60s, 70s maybe? I'd say that would have become prevalent,
When eggs first came about in the 1800s, as I said, they were dark chocolate.
Yeah, and they were probably, fucking Kinder egg size things.
Probably. Well, yeah, they wouldn't have been big and massive. Yeah. And it wouldn't have been thin chocolate either.
No,
it would have been fairly solid, fairly substantial.
Yeah.
Milk chocolate eggs were introduced in the 1870s. So I said it was the 1880s, but it wasn't. It was the 1800s. And in the 1870s,
not a million years ago either.
And that was milk chocolate, I think, if I remember, to our Chocolate and Popcorn Gods episode. Was I love that one. Go and listen to Chocolate and Popcorn Gods from season 1, people.
Yeah, it's great. Honestly, guys, when Del told me we were doing this, I was looking at him going, you what now? But it turned out to be brilliant. It was such a good episode.
But that was due to, was it a Swedish guy or a guy called Van Houten?
Yes, Van Houten sounds about right.
And you said that's I said it's Milhouse's uncle.
Yeah, and I had no idea what you're talking about.
Milhouse in The Simpsons. Milhouse Van Houten.
Van Houten, yeah.
But it was not a Northern European guy, we'll say. Maybe he was Swiss.
I think he was Dutch.
Maybe Swiss, maybe he was Dutch.
Well, Van Houten
I know there's two there. I think it was the guy, the Swiss guy was the guy that
invented the fucking toilet, wasn't
white chocolate. I can't remember. I'll have to go and listen to that episode of it. But there you go. Yeah, I think you're right. He was a Dutch fella.
I'm pretty sure he was Dutch. Yeah, Van Houten is very Dutch,
Earlier on, when I was talking about Tammuz and what's her face?
Ishtar.
It was familiar to me. So I had a look around and I went back to have a look through all the stuff I have on my favourite gods. And I say gods as in a plural. The fucking Greek gods, who I thought were fucking hilarious and dark and weird. I came across the legend of Demeter and Persephone. Do you know Demeter and Persephone?
Demeter. No, Lord of the Rings I'm thinking of. That was Denethor, was it?
Denethor. Oh,
sorry.
yeah, you're fucking
miles off.
Okay, Demeter was a woman, for starters.
Okay, right.
She was a goddess. Demeter was the goddess of agriculture. Every year, ancient Greeks celebrated her before they sowed the harvest for the coming year. Demeter tended to the fields with her daughter, Persephone.
Okay, we have an Irish...
yes, there is. There's all cultures do.
I can't even think of our name now. We only spoke about her recently.
This is the same fucking thing as
in our
everything we've talked about.
Yeah, in our second episode,
okay,
we would have talked about her. Yeah.
Demeter tended to the fields every year with her daughter Persephone, her beloved daughter Persephone. One day, while Persephone was sitting in a meadow with a freshwater nymph called Cyane, admiring a blooming narcissus flower.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, there's that myth again.
Yeah, admiring your narcissus flower. It's narcissus all over again. Admiring a daffodil.
And is this water nymph going to end up being, like,
nope.
muted? No.
The flower started to tremor.
Right. Okay. Was there a T-Rex nearby?
No. That's 0 for 3, buddy.
Jurassic Park reference. Come on.
The flower started to tremor.
Right.
The earth cracked open.
Okay.
And Hades came out in his chariot.
Okay.
He grabbed Persephone and he pulled her into his chariot before wheeling around and blasting back into the ground with the fissure closing behind him, leaving Cyane on her own to weep the loss of her friend.
Very much like Echo.
Yeah.
Tragic in the way Echo.
It's tragic. That's the only kind of association. To weep the loss of her friend. And she cried and wept so much, she dissolved into the water and floated away with a river that ran through the meadow.
Into a puddle, essentially. Yeah,
essentially, she turned into a puddle and she floated away.
Say that. It was like a puddle.
So Demeter, at the noise of the rupturing earth, came to look for Persephone and found no one in the meadow. Okay? She fled to Mount Olympus to see could anybody help her find her daughter Persephone. And none of them would help her.
Because the gods are bastards.
Because, the gods are bastards, but it gets fucking worse than that.
Okay, let's go.
Okay?
Bring it.
Many of the gods that had witnessed what happened looked the other way. They did nothing and they said nothing. So Demeter was talking to the backs of people's heads, basically.
Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, right? Yeah.
They also were aware of the pact that had been struck between Zeus and Hades. And I'll get into that in a second.
Okay.
Zeus had granted Hades Persephone's hand in marriage without Demeter or Persephone's consent.
Oh, lovely. Well done, Zeus. Nice one.
Now, Zeus was Persephone's dad.
Oh, okay. Right.
As well as a dickhead, he was Persephone's dad.
Yeah, okay. So that gives him some authority, I suppose, to do it. Like,
Zeus
wasn't just a random stranger, but still.
Zeus, well, he was the king of all gods, wasn't he? So he could do what the fuck he wanted.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which he did time and again.
Which he did to disastrous consequences for the likes of Medusa and stuff,
Fucking everybody.
Don't want to turn this into an ad for our podcast, but you got to go and listen to the Medusa episode if you haven't already. It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
I was blown away by the stuff I learned.
Zeus didn't have anything to do with Medusa.
Was it not him?
No, it was fucking Athena.
Was it not Zeus that raped?
No,
that was...
It was his brother.
Poseidon. Sorry, yeah.
Zeus, being Persephone's dad, makes Hades Persephone's uncle.
Oh yeah, because Hades is his brother.
Because he was also a brother of Zeus.
Yeah.
He was god of the underworld. Poseidon's god.
All the gods are related to Zeus in some way.
Well, you see, here's the thing. When we get into this, all the time we're like, these fucking weirdos. But the gods of Olympus that ruled everything
are all related to Zeus in some way.
Were born from the Titans that they fought in the Titan Wars to become the gods of Olympus.
Okay.
They were born from the Titans.
Right.
They're all related.
Are the Titans
They're
all giants?
fucking related. The whole lot of them are related. The Titans, the gods, all of them, they're all related.
Yeah.
It's fucking
intermingled,
weird.
interbred.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. But it wasn't understood. You know, that the gene pool wasn't understood when all this shit was written. So, so I'm not saying there's an explanation for it, but there's an explanation for it.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Hades was Persephone's uncle.
Yeah.
Demeter, not knowing of the deal between Zeus and Hades, searched for Persephone everywhere, far and wide. And while she did, the crops that she would normally tend withered and died. The fruit died on the tree.
Right.
Everything died, and famine kind of laid waste to the land.
Okay. Or as we know it now, winter happened.
That hadn't happened at this stage.
Oh, okay.
So there was famine across the land. Nothing was growing. She tended to the crops that she was given thanks for at the beginning of spring.
Yeah, no,
but
of course,
when
yeah.
Persephone was taken, she searched and she didn't tend crops.
Oh, okay. So it's not
died.
winter, but nothing's growing.
Not
right,
nothing's
I get
growing.
you.
It's
Yeah,
famine.
yeah. It's drought or whatever.
Helios, the sun god, out of respect for Demeter and what she did for the world, Helios, being the sun god, would ride his golden chariot across the sky. The sun wheels across the sky.
He's the sun, yeah.
Told Demeter of the Zeus-Hades pact out of respect for her.
Yeah. It's unusual, actually, that the Greeks are kind of unique in that sense, that the sun isn't their chief god.
No, they kind of explain everything with a whole fucking...
Zeus.
Panoply.
The All-Father.
Yeah,
the All-Father, yeah. Which is very Norse, actually, not Greek. But
so,
you know what I mean.
Helios told Demeter, your husband, or the father of Persephone's, the father of Persephone, and his brother have made a pact where Hades can marry Persephone. And Demeter was fucking furious.
Of course
she was fucking irate.
Yeah, she was basically being sold to the fucking devil, essentially.
Stormed back to Mount Olympus and confronted Zeus and demanded the return of her daughter. But Zeus refused.
Of course he did. He's Zeus.
While all this was going on, in the underworld, Persephone had refused to play wifey to
the devil,
to Hades.
Yeah.
And she refused to have anything to do with him. And she wandered around the underworld and...
looking for a way out kind of thing, or...
just looking for a way out, wanting to be home and missing her friends and fucking starving because there was nothing to eat. All that kind of thing. And she got so hungry, she ate a few seeds from pomegranates that hung on the trees of the underworld. And because she had a couple of seeds from pomegranates, she condemned herself to an eternity in the underworld.
Why?
Because she ate the seeds of the pomegranate.
Yeah, but like, why does that... Oh, if you eat in the underworld, you're there for good.
You're there for good, basically.
Right.
Well, I'm sure there's loads of reasons you're fucking there for good.
Yeah, but that's one of them you eat from.
So she's there for good.
So she took the forbidden fruit, essentially.
Yeah, there you go. Demeter refused to accept Persephone's fate. Right? She was like, no fucking way. So you come here to me, you fucker. She swore the fields she was supposed to tend would remain barren and that there'd be no fruit in the trees or anything if she didn't get Persephone back. And Zeus ordered her to tend the crops. And she was like, nope, not fucking happening, buddy.
We're all gonna fucking starve.
So they had to make a deal. Zeus conceded the return of Persephone to Demeter. So Persephone left the underworld. And for 3 seasons of the year, she'd spend her time on Earth with her mother. And for that one remaining season,
she'd have to go back
to the underworld. She'd have to go and spend it in the underworld.
Winter.
That's winter.
And it's death and rebirth.
Isn't that mad?
Yeah.
Isn't that fascinating?
No, absolutely, yeah.
That's fascinating. I love that story.
Yeah.
It's terrible. The mortals of the world learned to store their food because they knew that the time when Persephone had to return to the underworld was approaching. And so they stored food to take them through that time to bring them to the next spring when Persephone and life would return to the world.
Classic.
Isn't that fucking dead?
Yeah, and again, it's the fucking death and resurrection.
Yeah,
mythology.
It is, but it's just...
Yeah. And again, this predates Christianity by...
Well, Jesus Christ, I don't know. We're talking ancient Greeks here, so...
Yeah.
We're at least 2,000 years before 2,000 years ago. So, yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It's fucking deadly. Love the Greek legends.
And yeah, I know, but like everyone, and I don't want to get all fucking anti-theistic here and all that, but it does baffle me that how people can look at Greek mythology, Celtic mythology, pagan mythology, ancient Egyptian fucking theology, whatever you want to call it, and see the same story repeated again and again and again. And think, yeah, but their myths and our one really happened.
You're assuming they look.
I don't get it. A lot of people do. Like, I mean, Jesus, I would have been Catholic, as a young fella, and would have been aware of, certainly the fucking old Celtic myths. It was only when I started to realise, hang on a minute, these are the same stories just being rehashed and rehashed and rehashed. Why is it that those stories are just myths and legends, but yeah, the Bible is true? I don't get it. I don't get how in 2024 we still have billions of religious people on the planet. That's their right, and I don't criticise anyone for their beliefs. I just don't understand how so many people can believe something despite the evidence to the contrary. That baffles me. I don't judge them for it, it just baffles me, it confuses me. I just don't get it, just don't understand it. And I mean, and I know we didn't set out to do this at the start of the podcast, but, just through doing the origins of Easter, and we've just provided a shed load of evidence that the death and resurrection of Jesus didn't happen 2,000 years ago. It might have happened 4,000 years ago, or 20,000 years ago, or 100,000 years ago, depending on which myth or historical legend that you choose to use as your barometer.
Or it's which myth or historical legend that you were brought up in.
Yeah,
and that all depends on where you were born.
Yeah, I know, and I could understand that through the generations and through hundreds of years and 1,000 years and whatever, where access to information was very much controlled and limited. I mean, even when we were growing up, the library was the source of information that we would have had access to. Now it's at your fingertip. Like, there's no excuse for not knowing this. Maybe people just don't want to look it up. I don't know.
The origins of Easter, I, from now on, choose to believe Greek legends. Yep, absolutely. I
choose to just look around
Death and rebirth.
Yeah, and you have a look out your window.
Death and rebirth, and it's Demeter and Persephone.
You can literally look out your window here and you can see the fucking daffodils on the green.
And that's just Narcissus. That confirms my Greek belief my Greek legends belief. Yeah, no.
That is the tilt of the Earth's axis, Dale. Nothing more.
They're the legends. Every one of them is the myth or the legend of something or other. From fucking Christianity to the Greek legends. To the
Mesopotamians,
to the
Celts,
all that kind of thing.
They've all got the same myth. They've all got the same.
Everything is the same.
Theme,
yeah.
All the way through. And as I said, you've only got to look out the window at the fucking daffodils growing on the green out there, Dal, and you can see where that comes from.
Yeah, that's all Narcissus.
I know, but in particular, daffodils I think are a great analogy for it because they die in the winter and they grow back in the spring from the same bulb.
Yeah. I always thought daffodils looked very sad.
Yeah, they droop a little, don't they?
Yeah.
Robbie Lewis.
No, but you see, there's the thing. I always thought they looked very sad, but that was explained by Narcissus staring at his reflection in the pool of water.
Oh, right. I didn't know
remember that? Yeah, you do.
Did we do that?
We did that before, Narcissus and Echo.
Yeah, no, I remembered. Yeah.
And he slighted another dude who asked Nemesis to curse him. Nemesis was the god of revenge, goddess of revenge or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And asked for him to curse Narcissus as falling in love with his own reflection.
Yeah.
So he sat there looking at a pool
and
looking at his reflection and being totally in love with it. And every time he reached out to touch the reflection's face, it disappeared because he disturbed the water. And it only came back after the water settled.
Yeah.
And when he died, because he didn't get up to go to the toilet or to go to eat or to go to sleep or any shit like that, he starved to death. He turned into a bloom of narcissus flowers.
Which are daffodils.
That's why they're called, which are daffodils, which is why they're called narcissus flowers. Can't believe you didn't remember that. That's another legend that I went through ages ago, and I can't remember what one. So
love it. I do remember it now that you mentioned it.
Yeah. I can't remember what one it was in, but that was another.
I always think of
the Greek legends are so fucking interesting.
I always think of Wordsworth when I see daffodils.
Wordsworth.
Yeah, William Wordsworth. I wandered lonely as a cloud.
Right, okay. I'm thinking about Wordsworth was the dog that belonged to Jamie and his magic torch.
That's right. I love Jamie and his magic torch.
That's the first thing I thought of.
Deadly, no. William Wordsworth.
Okay. You should have said his whole name because I just went off on an 80s cartoon.
I'm being all cultural now, You're dragging it to Jamie and his magic fucking torch.
Jamie.
Jesus, talk about the roles being reversed. I'm usually the one dragging up the fucking movies and the fucking...
cartoons are my realm, man.
Anyway.
Okay.
What's your poison for Easter Sunday? What egg are you getting? Are you getting an egg?
I have 2 eggs.
Have you?
I've got a super salubrious deluxe crunchy egg. That looks really nice. Oh, it's deadly. And I got a smaller crunchy egg from my brother.
You love crunchies.
Nice. Well, I can't eat very many chocolates, so, the pick is...
Yeah, now I seen a lovely Toblerone egg in the Spar the other day. 50 though. I don't think I'm paying that for it.
Yeah,
see if I can get them cheaper in Dunn's or something. Love a bit of Toblerone.
If you wait for a day after Easter, you'll all get them all for like £2.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
What's left anyway?
Yeah, and I love a bit of Toblerone though. I have to say I do.
Have you not got your egg yet?
No, it's a get leaks.
I'm 50 years old and I have 2 Easter eggs. My ma has an Easter egg, has 3 Easter eggs, so I feel okay.
Eggs now there earlier today, so I have to go out and get her an egg, I suppose. So I'll be getting myself one.
You better. Yeah, okay. So enjoy your Easter, people.
Happy Easter, Easter, Uster,
Easter,
Ishtar,
Oster, Oster, Austin. Austin is east in Germanic.
Yeah.
Celts, yeah.
Ostdeutschland.
Yeah.
East Germany.
Keep your fingers crossed for Demeter and Persephone.
Yeah.
Stick your middle finger up at Zeus, and we'll see you next time. Happy Easter.
Bye-bye.